Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and wondered what it is you're really looking at? The reflection isn't just about the surface. It's about what's beneath. The myth of Narcissus captures this perfectly. A beautiful young man, so enchanted by his own reflection, he wastes away, unable to see beyond the surface. But myths like this aren't just stories. They're reflections of human nature itself. This video is for entertainment purposes only. We might talk about exploitations, manipulations, and compare sociopaths, psychopaths, and narcissists. So watch it on your own risk. And this video can get shadow banned, you know? So like, comment, and share. Subscribe if you're interested in psychology and philosophy. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Mirror. Narcissists, often accused of being like Narcissus, a strikingly handsome young man from Greek mythology who fell in love with his own reflection. In this age of social media, I suppose you of course heard this term. But it's not as simple as loving what they see. It's a hunger, a deep craving to fill an emptiness they may not even recognize. A narcissist doesn't just want admiration, they need it, like a plant reaching for sunlight, except their roots are fragile, barely holding on. Now, compare that to the sociopath, another figure that feels almost mythical in the way they navigate the world. If Narcissus is trapped in his reflection, the sociopath is the trickster, the one who shapes their reality through lies and charm. They don't care about admiration. They care about control. They weave stories, manipulate others, and when the web breaks, they move on without a second thought. Now this might make you think of another powerful personality we often talk about, but sociopaths and sigma personalities can share an air of independence, but their motivations couldn't be more different. Sociopaths manipulate and dominate to get what they want, often disregarding social rules entirely. Their independence is tactical. They detach because they lack empathy, not because they value solitude. They're often impulsive, reckless, and focused on control. Sigma personalities, on the other hand, choose solitude out of self-awareness and preference. They operate outside traditional hierarchies, not to exploit others, but to avoid unnecessary noise. Sigmas value their autonomy, but they're still capable of empathy, means they might not say it out loud but care about their closed ones, and sometimes even strangers. And also they can build and sustain genuine relationships, while sociopaths struggle with these things. In essence, while sociopaths isolate to manipulate and control, Sigmas isolate to maintain peace and authenticity. One bends the rules for selfish gain, the other sidesteps them to live on their terms. While Sigmas can sometimes influence people or subtly manipulate the system, but key here is empathy. Even if they don't want to, their silence often naturally work as silent treatment, and pieces align themselves. And then there's the psychopath, the cold, detached observer. If Narcissus stares too long and the sociopath spins tales, the psychopath simply sees. They analyze and act unburdened by emotions. Imagine them standing by the pool, watching Narcissus waste away, not out of malice, but indifference. What ties these personalities together isn't just a lack of connection to others, but a distorted connection to themselves. Narcissists crave the validation they can't give themselves. Sociopaths bend others to their will because trust is foreign to them. Psychopaths move through the world like chess masters, disconnected from the pieces they play. The lesson in these myths is not just about recognizing these traits in others or yourself, but in understanding their origins. Are they born from trauma, fear, or something deeper? Like the reflections they chase or distort, these behaviors stem from what's beneath, something hidden, something broken. Understanding the stories behind these personalities helps us see them, not just as dangers, but as puzzles, and perhaps in doing so, we can better guard ourselves while reflecting on our own mirrors. Part 2. Masks of Charisma. Have you ever felt drawn to someone who seemed to have all the answers, only to realize later that something was off? There's a reason we're captivated by charisma. It's a double-edged sword. It can inspire, but it can also deceive. Narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths all wear their own versions of charisma, like a mask, but each uses it differently. For narcissists, charisma is a spotlight. They crave admiration, and their charm is often crafted to draw others in. It's not always malicious. Sometimes they genuinely believe they're worthy of the attention, but behind the facade is a person whose self-esteem is precarious, dependent on others' validation to stay afloat. Like a performer who needs applause to feel alive, their charm is a survival tool. Sociopaths, however, wield charisma as a weapon. They understand people on a strategic level and use that knowledge to manipulate. Their charm is calculated, designed to disarm and deceive. Think of it as a baited trap, enticing on the surface but dangerous underneath. They don't need admiration like the narcissist. They need control, and charm is their most effective tool. Psychopaths, by contrast, use charisma with precision. For them, it's not about validation or even control in the immediate sense. It's a tool in a grander plan. Psychopaths are often described as ice-cold because they don't rely on emotions to guide their interactions. Their charm is surgical, used only when it serves their purpose. If sociopaths are con artists, psychopaths thinking 3 moves ahead. What ties all three together is the way their charm can mask their true intentions. They can be hard to spot, especially in a world where confidence is often mistaken for competence and kindness. But if you look closely, the cracks in the mask start to show, whether it's the narcissist's neediness, the sociopath's impulsiveness, or the psychopath's calculated indifference. Recognizing these masks isn't about paranoia, it's about understanding. Not everyone who's charming is wearing a mask, but those who are often reveal themselves through patterns. And when you see the mask for what it is, you can decide how close you want to stand. Part 3. Games of Power. Have you ever felt like someone is playing games with you, but you don't even know the rules? Power, who has it, who controls it, and who manipulates it, is a common thread connecting narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. But their approaches to power differ in fascinating and telling ways. For the narcissist, power is a stage. They seek status, recognition, and influence, but not for its own sake. It's all about how it reflects on them. Their victories must be seen and celebrated, their achievements acknowledged. A narcissist in a position of power often surrounds themselves with admirers, needing constant reinforcement of their greatness. But this dependence on external validation makes their power fragile. When the applause stops, so does their sense of control. The sociopath approaches power like a game of risk. They're tactical, willing to bend or break rules to climb the ladder. Unlike the narcissist, they don't need validation, they need results. Their impulsive nature can lead to reckless decisions, but their charm and cunning often help them recover. A sociopath's power is rooted in manipulation and strategy. They'll exploit weaknesses, forge alliances, and discard people when they're no longer useful. Psychopaths, however, see power as a long game. They are patient, calculated, and unemotional in their pursuit. To them, power isn't about recognition or immediate control. It's about dominance on their terms. A psychopath's moves are often so subtle that you might not realize you're in their game until it's too late. They avoid unnecessary risks, preferring meticulous planning over impulsive actions. While Sigmas also seek power, but they can stay empathic. The difference lies in sustainability. Narcissists burn bright, but fade quickly when their need for admiration isn't met. Sociopaths rise and fall with the chaos they create, often undone by their own impulsivity. Psychopaths, on the other hand, build their empires, brick by brick, ensuring that their power is nearly unshakable. What's fascinating and sobering is how these dynamics play out in everyday life. Whether it's in the workplace, relationships, or society at large, understanding these approaches to power helps us recognize when the game is being played. And once you see the board, you can choose whether to step away or play with purpose. Part 4. The thread. Let's talk about empathy again, the biggest twist in these dynamics. Have you ever wondered why some people seem untouched by the very emotions that bind us all? Empathy, the ability to feel with and for others, is a cornerstone of any connection. But for narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths, empathy is either distorted or absent, and this shapes how they navigate relationships and the world. For narcissists, empathy is selective. It's not that they can't feel for others. It's that their own needs usually take center stage. When they do show empathy, it often serves a purpose, either to gain admiration or to reinforce their image. A narcissist may console a friend, but the underlying goal might be to showcase their kindness rather than genuine care. Their empathy is conditional, tied to their self-interest. Sociopaths, on the other hand, often lack empathy altogether, or at least the emotional depth that comes with it. Their understanding of others is cognitive rather than emotional. They can read feelings, but they don't feel them. This detachment makes them skilled manipulators, able to fake concern when it serves their goals. A sociopath might seem like a supportive friend or partner, but when tested, their lack of emotional resonance becomes glaring. Psychopaths take this absence of empathy to an extreme. Unlike sociopaths, who might act out of impulsivity or emotion, psychopaths operate with cold precision. They don't just lack empathy, they don't see its value. Emotions to them are tools to be used or weaknesses to exploit. A psychopath can mimic empathy flawlessly, but it's a performance, a calculated act designed to achieve a specific outcome. What separates these three is not just the absence of empathy, but how they compensate for it. Narcissists try to appear caring because it boosts their image. Sociopaths manipulate others' emotions because it grants them control. Psychopaths, however, see empathy as irrelevant, a vulnerability they've learned to exploit. The absence of empathy isn't just a deficit, it's a reshaping of how these personalities see the world. For most, empathy is a thread that connects us, weaving a fabric of relationships and shared experiences. For these personalities, it's a thread they've either cut. There is also a term called dark empathy, like valuing and understanding empathy but doing the opposite just to hurt, or if I say pinch others. I will talk about it in details in some other video. Let me say it again. This video is not for diagnose purposes. Every single human being is different, though understanding and recognizing these differences can teach us how to protect our own emotional boundaries. Not everyone who seems disconnected is dangerous, but understanding where empathy ends and manipulation begins is a vital step in guarding your own heart. Redemption or reflection. Have you ever asked yourself if people who harm or manipulate others can truly change? Or if they even want to? Each face unique challenges when it comes to introspection and transformation. Their paths differ. Without self-awareness, no change is possible. For narcissists, the barrier to change is their fragile ego. They're often trapped in a cycle of seeking validation and avoiding vulnerability. Genuine introspection feels threatening. It challenges the persona they've built to protect themselves. When confronted with their own patterns, some narcissists can begin to understand the root of their behavior. It's not easy, and progress can be slow, but the potential for growth is there if they're willing to confront their insecurities. Sociopaths, with their impulsive nature and disregard for rules, often lack the patience or desire to reflect. Change requires a level of commitment that doesn't align with their immediate goal-oriented mindset. However, some sociopaths who face consequences, legal or personal, may be motivated to reassess their actions, but only if they're willing to engage honestly, which is rare without external pressure. Psychopaths, by contrast, are the most resistant to change. Their lack of emotional depth and calculated approach to life makes introspection almost irrelevant to them. They see the world through a lens of logic and self-interest, and emotions like guilt or regret don't factor into their decisions. While they may adapt their behavior to avoid consequences, true transformation is exceedingly rare because they don't see a problem with how they operate. The question isn't just whether they can change, it's whether they want to. And for many, the answer lies in what they perceive as the cost of transformation. Admitting fault or seeking help means relinquishing control or pride, things these personalities often value above all else. From a Stoic perspective, the greatest tragedy isn't their inability to change. It's the missed opportunity to live a life guided by virtue, reason, and balance. For the rest of us, the lesson is clear. While we can offer understanding, boundaries are just as important. Not everyone will choose growth, but we can choose how close we let them come. In the end, the only behavior we can truly control is our own. Thanks for watching.